Today is part 2 of our full 7-round, 10-player Chargers mock draft, and we had to start it with Fireworks getting a dynamic home run threat to pair with Najee Harris.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Drogemeyer, and we've been covering the Chargers together now for 9 seasons, but this is our 7th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen. To make sure that you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. David, what do we got today?
Daniel, 5 more picks to finish out our mock draft, and we're getting things started with probably my favorite pick of the entire mock draft. Jaydon Blue is a monster, and I can't wait to talk about him. He's going to be so much fun. Then we double dib at edge rusher. We want to get a couple of guys, couple different flavors, bring them to the table, and see who can help this football team while adding a special teams demon and a really, really fun, almost Mr. Irrelevant.
Almost Mr. Irrelevant, but the guy I'm actually most excited to talk about today, undersized pit bull of an offensive lineman who will instantly become the shortest offensive lineman in the league if he is drafted. But let's get into where we left off here, David, because we did make the first 5 picks on yesterday's show, and I really like the way it turned out, being pretty realistic because it's, you know, we love Colston Loveland, right? We didn't end up with him.
Yes.
But we ended up with a draft that we really liked and ended up finding the value later on that we missed out on in round 1. So we had Derek Harmon round 1, round 2, Trey Harris, the wide receiver. We ended up getting Harold Fannin, the tight end, in round 3. Then found that competition at left guard with Dylan Fairchild in round 4. And then picked up a guy we really liked in Zy Alexander playing outside corner for us in the 5th round yesterday. Now we go to the first pick in the 6th round, and a guy both of us would be really fine taking with a 5th round pick as well if that's the way it went down. Round 6, pick 181, Jaydon Blue, the running back from Texas. David, the why is easy. The fireworks are very apparent when you watch them on tape.
There's absolutely no question about it. You brought in Najee Harris to be your thunder, to be that guy that's going to be your every down back who is going to, get those tough carries, those in between the tackles type of carries. He's going to bring that for sure. But you need someone that can complement his skill set, someone who's got that home run ability. Well, enter Jaydon Blue. My goodness. I mean, it does not take long when you put on the tape to watch this guy. He hits the hole, and if he gets the sideline, it's over. He is gone. 5'9", 181 pounds, 4.38 40, responsible for 3 plays of 45 yards or more in 2024 alone. Also, a very competent and very accomplished pass catcher as well. He had 42 receptions, 368 yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. His jump cuts are disgusting. He's able to really defeat and challenge defenders' angles, make them try to figure out where he's going, and he can put his foot in the ground and move so fast, it is not fair. I think he's an adequate blocker as well. He doesn't get asked to do that quite a lot when he's pass protecting because that's just not really his game.
No.
But the suddenness, the quickness, the vision that he brings to the table, and yes, that home run ability, it's all over the tape, and it doesn't take a lot to figure out why he would be that perfect complement to Najee Harris.
Yeah, and right now you only have Najee Harris, Kamani Vidal, and Hassan Haskins on the roster. There's an obvious hole. We waited, maybe longer than we would have liked, but that's just kind of how it plays out, and you're not going to get every, value at every position that you need in order, and it's just not going to work like that. So what we were looking for was a special trait. This dude has that with the dynamic speed, someone that would obviously just be a complimentary back to Najee Harris, a change of pace back, and if you want to talk about just someone who can do a lot with not a ton of touches, that's what this dude has done. He scored 14 touchdowns last season on 176 touches. That's every 12.6 times he touched the ball, he got into the end zone. Do you want to know what Ashton Genty's was last year? 12.6, and it was actually by decimal points a little bit lower. Now, obviously, he's not Ashton Genty. He has flaws in his game, but as a receiver, it was really impressive to see, kind of the vision of how you would use him. And I think you saw it well against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Where, man, he ran 2 different rail routes and just absolutely took off away from the defense both times.
Them.
It was the only, the most positive play that they had in that game when they were in that big game. And you saw, that ability as a pass catcher. Per Dane Brugler also had 3 plays of 45 yards or more. This is a dude who is a home run hitter and also brings kind of, he's not going to ever be your 3-down back that you're going to be, a bell cow type of player. But this is a dude that brings a really obvious need to what you have in the backfield right now, and that is some juice to go along with the guys that you have there. As far as the cons go, I think the biggest kind of red flag to me was just the 1-year wonder type of production. I mean, he had 0,000-yard rushing seasons, even though he did hit 1,098 scrimmage yards in 2024. But you're basing it off of, really a handful of games here, David, where you see the potential that this dude has, which is also why you're going to get him in the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's an interesting flaw as well. But I think the more important one for me, and one that I know is probably going to be a little bit difficult for the coaching staff to kind of overlook, is the fact that he had 7 fumbles over the past 2 seasons, including 5 in 2024.
That's a big number.
So that's a lot. So, I mean, yeah, I understand, he's electric and, man, he can really, really go on the football field. But that has to get cleaned up. We saw it, with Melvin Gordon. You put the ball on the ground enough, you're just not going to play on the football field. It's just a fact of the matter. So he has to improve that part of his game. But if he does, there's absolutely no telling what he is capable of doing at the NFL level. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Darren Sproles, just, with his diminutive stature. I mean, Sproles is smaller for sure.
I think he's more straight line speed than Sproles.
Yeah.
Sproles' lateral agility was something different. But the size compares. I mean, he's a little bigger than that, though. I know you had him at 181. Dane Brugler has him at 5'9", 196 pounds. So not a total toothpick, not someone that just is obviously way too small to play on the field and can't take any kind of hits. But also,
he's not going to be a 25 carry guy, right?
No.
That's just not his game. He's going to be a complimentary piece.
He is a complimentary piece. And I mean, I think Brugler had that he only had 18 touches or 18 carries.
Yeah,
once.
18 offensive touches just once in 38 games.
Exactly. So that's not going to be what his game is. And also just kind of not a ton of exposure on him because he was behind Bijan Robinson 2 years ago, who was the first running back drafted. And then last year, he was behind, before he got hurt, Jonathan Brooks, who was also the first running back drafted. So the 2 top running backs in the last 2 classes were ahead of this dude the last couple of seasons. The 5 fumbles is scary. The Chargers put an emphasis on it, though. I mean, they only had 2 fumbles last season from their running backs in total, and neither one of them came from Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins, the dudes who were touching the football the most. J.K. Dobbins has always been a good ball, always had good ball security. But Gus Edwards has had some fumbles. He only had one other season where he didn't have at least 2 fumbles before last year and then didn't end up fumbling. So the Chargers are putting an emphasis on it. I think the biggest thing, David, we'll touch on quickly here is from Dane Brugler. Needs to convince NFL teams he has desire and work ethic to maximize the talent. That's a big red flag. That's one of the reasons he's dropping this far. If you don't have that kind of love for the game, if your efforts being questioned by someone like Dane Brugler, there's obviously something there that NFL teams are concerned about. But that is also why you think he could fit with the Chargers, because you went and got a culture builder so that you could potentially bring in guys like this and then, maybe reform them and get them on track.
Yeah, we know Jim Harbaugh is unconventional in his ways on how he likes to build culture, but there's one thing that is absolutely undisputed. He knows how to do it. He's done it at an extremely high level, and building that culture also builds a winning program, which is also something that he has in his resume in spades.
And something that demands respect and is easy to buy into because he actually has the hardware and has done it and won the biggest games, right? Made it to a Super Bowl, won a national championship. He's a big game coach now, especially after getting that kind of monkey off his back and not winning the big one in college. He showed that he absolutely can and took out some juggernauts along the way. But I like it. I love the pick here, especially since we waited at running back. If you're going to wait, go get that complimentary guy. Go get someone that's dynamic and can be a home run hitter for you, because you don't currently have that in your backfield. Jaydon Blue is as home run hitter as home run hitters get. But we still have more picks to get to. And the Chargers hit last year 2 fifth-round picks going corners, almost back-to-back picks, but 2 corners and double dipping in the 5th round. We're double dipping on edge rushers and hoping that one of them hits, and one of them had 16 sacks last year. So we're going to get into the rest of our 7-round mock draft, the day 3 sleepers, and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with GameTime, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. GameTime makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60% on your tickets. And I think that's one of the great things is, like, it's never too late to get tickets with GameTime because the price could actually get better. And the other part of it is I've never gone to an event where I couldn't find good tickets with GameTime. But you can get that 60% off on those last-minute tickets, and you also can toggle the all-in pricing, which means no surprise fees at checkout. And I love that. You also get a panoramic view of your seat so you know exactly what your experience is going to look like. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. David, we found that home run hitting running back that we wanted to hit, especially since we waited until late on day 3 to get him. And I think we found a guy we were both pretty happy with as far as what the dynamicism that he brings to the table is. But there's one big hole left on our draft board, right? We got the interior guys on the defensive line. We got a corner. Offensively, we found our weapons. We got some help on the interior. We got a running back. We haven't addressed edge rusher yet, which is one of the more underrated needs for the Chargers going into this draft, and one they could absolutely take on day 1 even, or potentially day 2. We waited. We went with other bigger needs and value where we found it. But then we double dipped in round 6, David, and that was something we wanted to do. If you're going to wait, take a couple chances, get a couple different kinds of players. And one of the ones that I first heard about from Daniel Popper was our 6th round pick 199, Antwuan Powell-Ryland, an edge rusher from Virginia Tech, who, considering you probably haven't heard of him, you'd be surprised that he had 25.5 sacks the last 2 seasons. And, David, 9 forced fumbles. That's a way to get the football out of somebody's hands as a quarterback or a running back, whoever it is, a ball carrier. This is a guy, David, that has some obvious flaws that we're going to get to, because if you have 16 sacks and you're not getting picked to the 6th round, there has to be a reason for it. This is someone Dane Brugler had mocked to the Chargers, even a pick later than this, so someone that could realistically be around, and someone that has obvious pass rush production potential, even at the next level, even at his size.
100%. I mean, Antwuan Powell-Ryland is, like, you look at the stats, it's not just the sacks, it's the tackles for loss numbers too, which in those last 2 seasons, 2023, 2024, it's 34.5 or 33.5 tackles for loss, which is crazy. Also, 3 forced fumbles in 3 straight seasons. Like, he's getting the ball out repeatedly and routinely year after year. I like how he stays square when he's tackling. High effort player, will run sideline to sideline. He can really, really bend around the corner. I mean, he absolutely can torture offensive linemen. If he gets that quick step, quick edge, he is bending right around the corner, and he is flattening the quarterback. I saw him do that 3 or 4 different times. I think he fights to get off blocks to help locate the ball carrier. Still has some issues with that from time to time. Excellent hand usage in conjunction with speed off the edge. I think this is the other thing that I noticed. He's not just running up there. He has a plan. He has a couple of different ways to be able to defeat the blocker in front of him. And so with that skill set and obvious pass rush productivity, there's a lot to like with Antwuan Powell-Ryland.
Yeah, and I mean, doing it at the end here at a big-time program. And that's something that you wanted to see, and you got to see from him. Big-time motor guy, kind of like you brought up. There was one play, fought through 3 blocks to get pressure. But we're always sending each other videos of these guys, especially in our kind of war room format this year, going through and making the picks together. But, I mean, there was one against Miami where he just, like, so quickly gets the corner that it's like the receivers aren't even out of their break yet. So, I mean, that is one of the biggest appeals. It's like
ridiculous. You
can get some quick wins, right? And he is a guy that can bring you some of that. Now, the reason he's a 6th round pick, he's really small. And 6'2.5", 258 pounds doesn't seem that small by modern NFL edges, but 31.25-inch arms.
That's
and
the problem.
When you look at him, he just looks small. Like he just, he kind of looks out of place. I felt like, especially for a dude who has that kind of production, there was just times in games where he would disappear, right? And he might not ever be a full-time edge defender for you. This is a pass rush specialist, especially earlier on. That's what you're going to get out of him. So there are some cons as well, but we, as a 6th-round pick, wanted to go with kind of the upside.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand it. I like what he brings to the table, and what he doesn't bring to the table, I think our next pick does bring to the table. And of course, I'm talking about Tyler Barron, the edge rusher out of Miami. This is with pick 209 in the 6th round. So 6'4", 258 pounds for Tyler Barron. 21.5 tackles for loss, 11.5 sacks over his last 2 seasons. Feel like he has pretty good bend. He has a really good rip move that he has used a couple of times. Aggressive hands. Feel like he has the power to be able to hold up on the edge, to be able to stack tight ends and some of your tackles and be able to get off those blocks. He has a bigger, thicker frame, and he has that power I was talking about. Also, not only that power, he also has the length as well. He has 33 1/8 inch arms, which obviously we just talked to you about. Antwuan Powell-Ryland having 31 1/8. So those extra couple of inches, it definitely matters, and it helps him use that length to get off of blocks and get around the corner and get through people. He has the power to knock people around. I know there's one play that you sent me, which was very impressive, of him kind of just pushing a couple of guys out of the way and just wrecking a play. That's something that he brings to the table I really, really like. And in contrast to Antwuan Powell-Ryland, he has a lot more power, I think, which I think allows him to stay on the field on running downs.
Yeah, and the thing is it's inconsistent. Sure. That's why you fall to the 6th round here. And I went through a lot of edges before we ended up with Tyler Barron. I initially kind of wrote him off just based on the scouting report before I got to actually put my eyes on him. But I looked at a lot of different guys for this pick, looking to try to double dip in this round. And this dude, you can see it. It's hard to find guys you like in the 6th round. It just is, because you see guys struggling with stuff at this level. You project that how you're going to do it at the next level. I think the nice thing with this dude, unlike Antwuan Powell-Ryland, he has the size, he has the measurables that he doesn't bring to the table. And at least in the case of both these guys, you're coming into a team and to a room that has 2 dominant edge setters, 2 dominant run defenders. So both of them make sense, and you don't need as much from them right away. The play you're talking about where he forklifts a tackle and trying to kind of block him on the move. If you try to block him on the move, he's just going to knock you back 3 or 4 yards. And in this play, he knocked him back into 2 of the lead blockers for the running back, blew up the play, and opened up a play for someone else. And that's something that both of us saw with him was the modest production is a little concerning. He's never been a big-time sack guy. That's why he's a 6th-round pick. But you see him opening up things for other players. And the Chargers just need some guys that can get pressure. They don't even necessarily need all the sacks. They didn't have a good enough pressure percentage last year. They were in the 20s with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa and Tui Tuipulotu. They need guys who can get in the backfield. And it's another kind of situation where we're going and have a theme of going a little bit older players in this draft, guys that we think could help, sooner rather than later. And in this case, you don't really need them this year, but you need a future at the position in this, in this way you're taking 2 dart throws at it. But man, when he wants to push you back and gets a good jump on you, he has serious knockback power, has also just kind of a big variety of moves. Saw him try a lot of different things. I think the cons, David, for him is that modest production. I mean, 3 of his 5.5 sacks per Dane Brugler came against an FCS team. Every other game he had 2.5 sacks. Yeah. Not as, concerning maybe as some of the other traits. Like he has the size and he has a, chance to get better. But he doesn't necessarily have a signature move. There's no one move that's like his go-to and it's special, right? So I think those would be my cons for him.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. I also feel like he's a little clunky in space when he's covering the flats. He definitely looks out of place. It's just not really something that he should be asked to do. It's just not something that he's really in an element to do. It's just not.
Looks very out of place.
Yeah, he looks very, very out of place. Also, he left some sacks out there on the field. I mean, he got close. I mean, the modest sack numbers didn't have to be so modest because he was getting in the backfield. He was being able to get close, but as we've talked about many other times, the difference between a high round pick as an edge rusher and guys that are going in the 5th, 6th round are the guys that can close and finish the play.
Yeah.
That's the next evolution of his game if he wants to get to the next level.
Yeah, and I think, the 6 sacks he had in the SEC last year playing for Tennessee, it shouldn't go unnoticed. But
No.
I think you're right. I mean, that's why you get a guy here, and you're hoping, hey, if I can rein this dude a little bit in, if I can lock this dude in.
I can unlock that.
Yeah, because sometimes it feels like he cares way more about knocking the offensive lineman back 3 yards than it does actually trying to get off and make a play on it, right? Like he's just he's blowing up some plays, but you need kind of the next step to that. And I think
let's have a plan.
I think it's in there somewhere, and I think the only other con I have, had a weird kind of senior season or last season at the NCAA level because he was with Tennessee, committed to transfer to Ole Miss, then flipped his commitment to Louisville all in one offseason, and then went to spring practice with Louisville, and then entered the transfer portal again and ended up in Miami. Go get yours. I'm never going to hold that against the player, but I just thought that was an interesting note. But back-to-back edge rushers, I like the dart throws we have there and a chance for one of these guys to be another diamond in the rough like we saw Cam Hart and Tariq Still last year. But we still have more guys to get into, including a surefire special teams ace and one of the funnest guys I'm most excited to talk about in this draft class, little Willie Lampkin, the little train that could. We're getting all those guys and more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with the Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed, all as easy as you stream your favorite shows, because you still get all the shows that you always want to. This is still a streaming place for all of Netflix, Max, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime Video, all of the subscribe services that you have, you can still get. And now it's an Xbox for you as well, which I love the portability of this. The ability to just take a controller and stick it in a backpack with my Amazon Fire 4K TV stick. And then my wife doesn't even have to know that I'm trying to bring the Xbox along until it's already too late and I'm in the hotel room with it plugged into the TV. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices including Fire TV Stick 4K, 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. David, it's the home stretch. 8 picks down, 2 more picks to go, and I'm excited about the guys we're going to be talking about in this segment. But thank you, as always, for making us your first listen. To make sure that you never miss the show, want to subscribe to us on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast from as well, especially because tomorrow is Buy or Sell Wednesday this week, the last buy or sell before the draft. So make sure you guys hit us up at Locked On LAC on Twitter, on Instagram at Locked On Chargers, or on YouTube, where we'll put a post out as well. If you guys need a second listen, it's heating up. Make sure you're checking out what the Locked On NFL Draft has going on in the days leading up to the draft with Damian Parson and my guy Keith Sanchez on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast from. David, we double dipped at edge today. We got a running back with home run ability today to fit with the other big needs we already addressed. Found that guy in the interior of the defensive line with Derek Harmon. Got a big-time receiver that we wanted in Trey Harris. Harold Fannin, who's a playmaker at tight end. And then also got competition for the left guard spot with Dylan Fairchild. And in the 5th round, found a corner that we really liked, because we know this team, we're trying to make this somewhat realistic. We know this team loves corners, right? Yeah. And they got a guy we really liked. Now it's round 6, pick 214, and we filled most of our needs. Now it's about, do you want to take a safety, get younger there? Do you want to find that special teams linebacker? We kind of found both in the same pick. Round 6, pick 214, we ended up with Georgia safety Dan Jackson, who's just a fun story as a walk-on, a never scholarship player who found a way to be an impact defender after several seasons of playing just on the scout team and being just the walk-on that could. And then he ended up being an impact player on a defense full of monsters. David, to get this guy in round 6, pick 214, and, between me and you, we were saying, hey, the floor on this guy is a special teams demon. I really like this pick.
Yeah, I do too. I think there's a lot to like with Dan Jackson, 6'1", 194 pounds, out of Georgia. Does a really good job of coming downhill. He played mostly free safety, back in the kind of a split safety look. So yeah, he was coming downhill, making a lot of tackles. I feel like he had really good recognition skills. If he sees it, he's able to diagnose it quickly, and he's able to attack and close. And I feel like he's a reliable last line of defense defender as well. Also, this is where the special teams part of it comes into play. He's blocked multiple kicks in his collegiate career. Multiple. That is scary. You don't really see that with anybody. I mean, you're lucky to get one. To be able to get two, to get one, you can get lucky. To get two is not luck. That's skill. That's pure skill. Also, I really like this note coming from the Beast, described as a phenomenal teammate because of a positive attitude and work ethic that raises the bar. His coach, Kirby Smart, said all he does is give everything he's got every single play. So love that. I feel like he has a skill set that's going to help this football team immediately on special teams. And a guy, if in a pinch, he has to get on the football field and play back, I feel like he's somebody that you can trust to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you probably want him as close to the line of scrimmage as you can, right? I mean, that is what he's better at, keeping the game in front of him, but being able to close quickly on underneath routes and running backs trying to get out of the backfield. And he can limit the yak there. That is what his special quality is, and you want to find one, even if it's a 6th-round pick. The quick trigger paired with the 4.45 40 time makes sense. Fast, linear speed that he has to get downhill, and also hits way above his, pay grade for sure. Yeah. I mean, he packs a boom for a dude his size. Really like that part of it. And Tony Jefferson, Derwin James, Alohi Gilman, Elijah Molden, those guys aren't playing special teams. You have a Delshon Phillips already at linebacker that can be that guy for you this year. This is someone who's going to be a core 4 player for you, I think, if he makes the team. And it'd be hard to deny him with the kind of work ethic and play style that he has. But that play style can also get him in trouble at times. Had some reckless tackle attempts that turned into misses. Somewhat limited change of direction. He's definitely a little tighter there. Will be a 25-year-old rookie, which even though I'm not that concerned with it, unless it's like a quarterback, and you're getting one less contract out, that doesn't bother me. And missed 7 games in 2023 due to a foot injury. This is a dude who's picked 282 on the consensus board, but Dane Brugler has as a 5th or 6th round grade. To land him in the 6th round, I feel really good about that. But it's not my favorite pick today, David. My favorite pick today is the last guy, one pick away from Mr. Irrelevant, and I'm super excited to talk about him.
Yes, indeed. Willie Lampkin is the pick number 256 in the 7th round. He is a center or kind of an all-around offensive lineman if you just look at what he did at North Carolina. But here's the big kicker. Mr. Willie Lampkin is 5'10", 270 pounds. So immediately upon getting drafted, if that were to happen, he would be the smallest offensive lineman in the National Football League by a wide margin. I think
per our research.
Per our research, I think there's a couple of guys that are 6'1", 6'2", but that's about it. You don't really find anybody under 6 foot, but man, you put on and you actually watch this guy play. He plays with consistent effort, grit, and technique. He has really good footwork. And, because he's so low to the ground, he really understands how to play with leverage. And for being 270 pounds, this guy has real power. Like, he is able to latch on to guys and move them out of the way. He played at right guard, played at left guard, played a full season at center. And, man, like, if the only knock on him is that he is a small guy, then he's a really, really good player. And I think that's the thing is when you watch him, you have to kind of try to, not let your mind go there because he's so small. But when he's playing in between those lines, you can't tell because he's just as dominant as any of the other offensive linemen that are on the field.
He was. I mean, and to prove it, he won per Dane Brugler Best Blocking Lineman of the Year in the ACC last season in a major conference. And that was at guard, a position he would have no business playing at 5'10", 269 pounds. It just doesn't make sense. But it's almost like he doesn't know how small he is when he plays. He's like the Chihuahua that thinks he's a pit bull, right? Like, truly what he is. He is a pit bull of a player, has the nastiness, plays through the whistle. The definition of low man wins, and he's always going to be the lowest man. Dane Brugler also brought up his wrestling background, which you can tell the way he's able to torque guys out of the way and move them out of holes is awesome. And just, he's so fun, and the tape is legitimately good.
It's really good.
It's good. I mean, not only did he win, Offensive Lineman of the Year in the ACC, he played 13 games at center for Coastal Carolina in 2022 and was the Sun Belt Offensive Lineman of the Year. This dude has won Offensive Lineman of the Year in 2 different conferences at the NCAA level. and 5'10", and it's like, if you want to bet against him, just know there's a long line of people that already have and have been majorly wrong. Now, does it go against everything we know that Jim Harbaugh likes about offensive linemen? Absolutely. Course. They just signed Mekhi Becton to stand next to Joe Alt, who's a behemoth, and they wanted to play Trey Pipkins at guard. Maybe for no other reason, just then he would have made them a really gigantic offensive line, and now they got even bigger. But size was a big part of it, and he told us that, right? But this dude, once he gets on you, good luck getting off. Like, he latches on. He's got big hands. He's going to be there. He might just get steamrolled by the big defensive linemen at the NFL level. And it's hard to know that. But, like, it's hard also, David, to find big flaws in his game that aren't just his size. Like, it feels like that's pretty much it as far as the cons.
Yeah, I had a really, really hard time trying to find out like where the deficiencies were in his game that weren't tied to the fact that he just doesn't have the requisite size, the length. Yeah. Like, those are the things that... And
he tries to overcompensate for it sometimes, right? Like, you see him...
And that can get him out of position.
Totally. So he might try to take a huge punch at you because he knows he's fighting an uphill battle. Yeah. And like, but man, like, there's not a ton of whiffs. The way he gets to the second level because of how small he is.
He's like, lightning fast.
Dude, he hits so often. And we see so many guys that can't get to the spot, aren't where they need to be. This dude, like, he's on you before you know it, like a spider monkey. And, like, you're already out of the play. Now, would he fit better in his own team? Maybe. But, like, you watch him in a scheme not that different from the Chargers. And he was opening up big holes for Omari and Hampton.
Yeah.
Right? The dude is going to be
probably going to go in the first round. Yeah.
Probably going to be in the top 20 picks, potentially, right? And who was in front of him leading the way? Little Willie 5'10" Lampkin. Like, how can he not root for this dude? We wanted to go fun with this pick. He's a guy that I saw. I mean,
hey, competitors welcome, right? If competitors are welcome, then Willie Lampkin is definitely a competitor.
And there's a good chance he's just not even on the Chargers' radar and has been totally written off by them. But if you're talking about pick 256, do I like him better than Max Duggan? Absolutely. Do I like him better than, Cornelius Johnson last year?
Pick.
Absolutely. Like, this is a dude where it's like, hey, if you're going to take a dart throw, and this is like the most unlikely, second most unlikely pick to actually work out, throw a pick at little Willie Lampkin and let him fight it out, man. I'm not saying he's going to be the next center of the future for a decade, but like, I want to see him try. I want to see him stand next to 6'8", 6'9" Joe Alt and Mekhi Becton right in the middle of both of them and see what it looks like. Sure. Would I use a draft pick just so I get a picture of him next to Joe Alt? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would spend a 7th round pick at 256, but I really like the way you're never going to have a mock draft that makes everyone happy, and they're not always going to feel like they're super realistic. This guy wasn't drafted in Dane Brugler's 7th-round mock, even though he's like 180s, I think, on the consensus board. I could see him making it to 256. He's 5'10", right? Yeah. So throw a draft pick on him. I like how we get, we got a center, we got a guard that can actually immediately contribute, right? You don't necessarily need a center this year, and they're sold on Zion Johnson there anyways, and it's not a good center class. Take a chance on this guy. We got our home run threat at running back. We double dipped at edge to see in round 6 to see if we could get something there, right? Guy that could maybe turn into something next year once Khalil Mack's potentially gone, Bud Dupree's gone. Really liked what we were able to do on day 3. To go with what I felt was a very strong day 1 with guys that we were pretty convicted on, help on the defensive line. Trey Harris, I love. You love Harold Finn, and Dylan Fairchild is someone we both absolutely loved and feel like can potentially start in year 1. So yeah, I liked it. Let us know what you guys think of the draft. Let us know of your 7-round mock drafts, and also hit us up tomorrow because it is Buy or Sell Wednesday, the last buy or sell show before the draft. Give us your biggest Chargers overreactions and storylines at Locked On LAC on Twitter, where we'll put a post out, at Locked On Chargers on Instagram, where we'll put a post out, and also David will make a post on YouTube so you guys to give us your buy or sells there as well. To make sure you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. And you can also find the show every day on our personal accounts, for me at Dan Talk Sports on Twitter and David at Drotalk SD. It's been a fun and exhausting draft season, and we appreciate all the everydayers out there as the only daily Chargers podcast to keep coming back. And no, hey, we'll be genuine. We might get some picks wrong, but we're always going to have watched the players we talk about, and we're always going to have liked them if we pick them. And we liked all the guys we talked about for this 7-round mock draft. So hopefully the Chargers end up with a couple of them, but we'll know in only a couple of days. And we have way more shows for you guys this weekend, even some bonus shows this weekend with the draft. So excited for all that. Make sure you guys are back here tomorrow for Buy or Sell Wednesday. But until then, take it easy and go Bolts.